What, you don't know me?
Hell no. Yeah.
Hey, I think that's a little.
Oh!
Stop scrolling, because what you're about to hear doesn't happen in wrestling. This wasn't entertainment. This wasn't part of the show. This was real. On August 23rd, Rampage Jackson's son walked into a wrestling ring in Los Angeles, and within seconds, the crowd watched in stunned silence as he unleashed a savage, real-life beatdown on a man who never stood a chance. We're talking over 20 unanswered punches, a wrestler left unconscious, paramedics rushing into the ring, police now investigating. And here's the twist. This story isn't just about Rampage Jackson. It's about his father's legacy, death threats, shocking reactions from UFC legends, and the battle for a man's life inside a hospital bed right now. This is the moment wrestling blurred into reality, and nothing was ever the same again. And trust me, you're going to want to hear every second of it. Entertainment is built on illusion. Wrestling especially thrives on that thin line between fantasy and reality, where pain is staged, cheers are real, and the spectacle is designed to make fans forget where one ends and the other begins. But what happens when that illusion shatters? What happens when the violence on stage isn't a performance at all, but a shocking descent into chaos? Streamed live to thousands, captured in clips that spread across the globe in minutes? On August 23, 2025, at a small Los Angeles venue, that illusion broke in the most terrifying way. Rampage Jackson's son, Raja, a man with real combat training and a lifelong connection to MMA, turned a scripted segment into one of the ugliest assaults wrestling has ever seen. By the end of that night, one man was unconscious, another's legacy was in ruins, and the entire combat sports community was left asking the same chilling question: what just happened? Today, we're diving deep. Not just into what went down in the ring, but the fallout that keeps snowballing. Hospital updates, police investigations, Rampage Jackson's public defense, death threats, split reactions from legends like RVD and Mark Henry, and the future of Raja himself. This isn't just a wrestling story anymore. It's a cautionary tale about fame, anger, and the fine line between discipline and destruction. The scene was KnockX Pro Academy in Sun Valley, Los Angeles. For most fans, it was just another indie show. A smaller crowd, loyal local fans, and a live stream rolling on Kick for those watching at home. Among those backstage that night was Rampage Jackson, 25 years old, son of MMA legend Quinton Rampage Jackson. He wasn't booked to wrestle. He wasn't part of the card. He was simply there, hanging out, streaming, and carrying the aura of his father's name. But that's when everything started to unravel. Backstage, a wrestler known as Psycho Stu, real name Stuart Smith, an Army veteran who turned to wrestling to cope with PTSD, saw Raja with cameras rolling. Believing Raja was part of the show, Stu smashed a prop beer can on his head, a harmless bit of wrestling theater designed to pop the crowd. Normally, this kind of stunt is laughed off, but Raja didn't laugh. Instead, his energy shifted instantly. The sparring-trained fighter wasn't playing along. He bristled, confronted Stu, and for a moment, tension nearly spilled over right there. Stu apologized. Again and again, they shook hands. But deep down, Raja wasn't letting it go. He was stewing, and the worst was yet to come. In wrestling, turning it into a storyline is common. Promoters often take a backstage spark and spin it into a live show segment. That night, KnockX Pro staff made a fatal miscalculation. They told Raja he could come out to the ring later for payback. In the wrestling world, payback is fake. You throw a light slam, pull a few punches, make it look dramatic, and let the crowd pop. But Raja wasn't thinking like a wrestler. He was thinking like a fighter, or worse, like a man out for revenge. When the moment came, Raja entered the ring. Fans thought they were about to see a fun, improvised segment. Instead, they witnessed a nightmare. Raja shot a legitimate single-leg takedown, no acting, no pulling back, and slammed Stu's head hard against the mat. Stu went limp immediately, but Raja didn't stop. Instead, he mounted the unconscious wrestler and began unloading punch after punch, over 20 in total. Real strikes, real damage. Stu's body twitched as blows rained down, and yet the attack continued. Referees froze. Other wrestlers hesitated, unsure if this was still part of the act. Even security seemed paralyzed. The illusion of wrestling was so strong, nobody acted, until it was nearly too late. By the time Raja was dragged off, Stu wasn't moving. The crowd sat in horrified silence. The energy shifted from excitement to dread in seconds. Clips immediately flooded social media, X, TikTok, Reddit, all asking the same thing. Was this attempted murder? Kick, the streaming platform, wasted no time banning Raja permanently. Within minutes, the video had spread worldwide. Paramedics rushed Stu from the ring to a hospital. Reports described him as unconscious for several terrifying minutes before finally showing signs of life. The LAPD was called. Detectives took statements, reviewed footage, and opened an investigation. As of August 25th, Raja hadn't been arrested, but felony battery charges were on the table. If medical results revealed permanent damage, those charges could escalate to aggravated assault. Suddenly, this wasn't wrestling drama anymore. It was a criminal case. The most haunting testimony came from veteran wrestler Doug the Epic Malo. Malo was one of the men who rushed into the ring to stop Raja, pulling him off Stu, and, in the process, taking a punch himself. Later, Malo said bluntly, "He would have killed him if I didn't step in." Malo confirmed that Stu had no chance to defend himself, that the beating was not only unscripted, it was merciless. He also pointed fingers at Knox Pro staff and AJ Mana, a promoter, for allegedly encouraging Raja to get in the ring in the first place. His words ignited further anger as fans questioned how anyone allowed this situation to unfold. A GoFundMe for Stu's medical bills soon surfaced, raising tens of thousands of dollars from fans and even celebrities like Mr. Beast, Chris Jericho, and Swerve Strickland. Stuart "Psycho Stu" Smith is a man known for resilience. But as of August 26th, he remains in the hospital, stable but critical. His brother has given updates. Stu is conscious, able to talk, and has some memory of what happened. But the injuries are serious: broken bones, missing teeth, and likely long-term consequences. The wrestling community has rallied around him. Fellow veterans, indie wrestlers, and even UFC fighters have sent messages of support. But the truth is sobering. Stu's recovery will be long, expensive, and painful. What about Raja's father, Quinton Rampage? Jackson is a UFC legend, one of the most recognizable names in combat sports. His immediate response was defensive. He called the attack a work gone wrong, explained that Stu hit Raja unexpectedly with the can, and noted that Raja had suffered a concussion days earlier in sparring and shouldn't have been physical at all. But fans didn't buy it. They saw the footage. They knew this wasn't an accident or a concussion gone bad. It was a brutal assault. Rampage apologized later, but the damage was done. His words came across as excuse-making, not accountability, and then things got darker. On August 26th, Rampage revealed he'd been receiving racist death threats online, accused of orchestrating the attack and vilified for defending his son. For a man already watching his family's name dragged through the mud, the threats only deepened the pain. The incident divided the wrestling and MMA communities. Matt Brown, UFC veteran, didn't hold back. "It's a felony, plain and simple." He demanded Raja face charges. Sean Strickland, never shy with words, took a different approach. He argued that prison wasn't the answer, that Raja needed rehabilitation and anger management, drawing on his own troubled past. RVD, Rob Van Dam, expressed empathy for Raja, hinting at deeper issues beneath the surface. Mark Henry, on the other hand, partly blamed Stu, suggesting he shouldn't have provoked Raja backstage. The split opinions highlighted just how complicated this fallout had become. KnockX Pro immediately condemned Raja's actions, calling them reprehensible. The promotion scrambled to distance itself from WWE, removing all WWE ID branding from its website. Days later, WWE quietly dropped KnockX Pro from its recruitment network altogether. For a small indie promotion, this was a devastating blow. Sponsors, fans, and performers began questioning the culture of allowing outsiders into the ring without proper training or oversight. The message was clear: the industry couldn't afford another incident like this. For Raja, the consequences are obvious: criminal charges, public backlash, and a likely end to any dreams in combat sports or streaming. But for his father, the consequences may be even harsher. Quinton Rampage Jackson is a legend, a Pride superstar, UFC champion, Hollywood actor, and larger-than-life figure. But now, every headline with his name is tied to his son's violent outburst. Fair or not, the internet doesn't separate the two. And legacy, in the age of viral clips, is fragile. This story isn't just about one man losing control. It's about the dangers of blurring lines between sport and spectacle, between combat training and impulse. Martial arts are built on discipline, on control. Raja showed none of that. And that's what makes this story chilling. It wasn't just violence. It was violence without purpose in front of the world. As of August 26, 2025, Raja Jackson hasn't been arrested, but detectives are still investigating. Stu fights for recovery. Rampage fights to protect his family's name. The wrestling industry scrambles to heal the damage. And fans across MMA and wrestling continue to argue about accountability, redemption, and justice. One thing is certain, this story isn't over. Court cases, medical updates, and public opinion will continue to shape what happens next. But the damage has already been done. A father's name, a son's future, and a community's trust broken in one shocking moment. So, what do you think? Should Raja serve time, or does he deserve a second chance with rehabilitation? And can Rampage ever escape the shadow his son has cast on his legacy?